Hey squad, welcome back. Today we're going to continue our journey exploring the fantastic features in Logic Pro focused on the Logic session players. And for this one, we're going to combine the chord track and the arrangement track. And I'll show you how you can get some awesome results by doing that. But first of all, I'm going to create a foundation groove with my favorite electric piano, the Waves Electric 88. So let me put down that foundation and then we'll move on. Okay, first things first, let's come up to the top here, and as you can see, we've got our chord track enabled right here. And here's my chord progression for these 16 bars as I just played. Now, if you haven't seen my video yet on the Logic chord track, you really ought to check that one out. A link will be above as well as in the description. Now, the other thing you'll notice just above here is we've got an arrangement track inserted. And if I was to right click just over here, you'll see I've got all of these other things switched off, but I've just got chord and arrangement switched on. Now for the arrangement track, I've got intro, verse, and if we go further along, you'll see chorus, bridge, and then outro later. But before we delve further into the arrangement track, let's actually start building this arrangement. After laying down the foundation chord progression on my Electric 88, I've inserted a Logic drummer track. This time I went for one of the electronic drummers and I chose Modern House. Now, when you select one of the electric drummers, all of your drum samples are loaded into the Drum Machine Designer, which looks like this. I've done videos on the Drum Machine Designer. You can certainly check them out. I'll have links above. I think I'll be doing a new video on this particular Logic plugin to explore any advancements in Logic 11. Anyway, the drum kit that I've loaded up right here is the modern disco drum kit. And at the moment, I've got everything switched off besides the kick and the snare, but I'm using a manual pattern. So let's go to manual, and all I've got going on, 4 to the floor, single kick on beat 1, and nothing else happening on the snare at this moment in time, but we're going to add some more in a minute. So if you come back over to main just here, and we'll switch on the hi-hat, and let's have a listen to the pattern now. Let's click on the follow pattern options. And right now we're sitting on pattern number 5. Let's have a quick listen to the other ones and see what options we've got. Okay, let's try this one. And this one. And number 6. 5. Yeah, I'm going to stick with 5. We can, of course, adjust the complexity of the playing style as we go along, but that kind of works for me. Let's go back over to manual. And if we were to click on the clap symbol, we'll bring in the claps, which hits on beats 5 and 13. We're going to do the same with the snare. So let's have a quick listen. Now, one of the really cool things about working with the session drummer and the Drum Machine Designer is the fact that we can swap out samples really quickly. So right here we can see our drum. Let's have a quick listen. Okay, so to replace this kick with something else, all I'm going to do is come over here to my file browser and I'm going to select this kick, drag and drop. And now that's been replaced. Let's have a quick listen. Here's the original. And let's put that one back in. Really easy. And you can do the same for replacing the claps or the snares or the hi-hats, for example. Same thing. Grab your sample, drag, drop, and you're good to go. And once you've made the replacement, you can always go in and do some editing down here. For example, if I wanted to adjust the start time, I can just pull that there and the end boundary just here. And if I click on the quick sampler detail view, click there, and then there's a ton more you can do in here. Of course, the quick sampler is the main engine that drives the Drum Machine Designer. I've gone through all of that stuff in my video on the Drum Machine Designer, so definitely check that one out. Now, before I add some more of my session players, which I'm definitely going to be doing, I just wanted to start building up a picture of the vibe that I'm going for musically. So what I've gone for is arcade, pop, underground, and I'm using the glimpse patch. Have a listen to this muted guitar part. Okay, cool. So now this is kind of giving you an idea of where I'm going. So the next thing I'm going to add is my session bass player. So let's come up here. We're going to go to bass player. And for this one, we're going for indie disco. So here's our bass part, and I've made some adjustments right here. We're going for the preset Night Flight. Now, as for the bass guitar itself that we'll be using, we're going to stick with the 60s bass option. We've got classic, rock, session, modern, and American upright, but we're sticking with the 60s because of the tonal quality that I'm getting from this. Have a quick listen. Really, really cool. As far as adjustments go on the bass itself, there's a lot you can do here, but I'm keeping it real simple. I'm not going to be messing too much with the main functions as well as the detail functions here on the bass itself. Maybe later on, but for now, we're just going to run with that. And if you haven't checked out my videos on the session bass player, you really ought to do so. And of course, my other videos in this series of the Logic session players. Make sure you check out the playlist. So before we move on to adding our next player, which is going to be the Logic keyboard player, I've added another guitar part, and this one again comes from arcade, and it's on the 70s line, and I'm using the funky wah patch, and this is what it sounds like. Really funky, and it's all just clicking together really nicely. Now remember to check the description for a link to download and try out Arcade absolutely free of charge. So now let's bring in our session keyboard player. So once again, we add a new track. We're going to choose keyboard player, and for this one we're going to choose block chords. Select that, hit create. I've made a few adjustments here to the controls to make it fit with the rhythmic flow that I've got going on. In terms of the follow rhythm, I'm following the chord track. I'm on option number 4 just here, and initially when this first came in, it had steady 8s switched on, which sounds like this. Which I didn't want, so I'll switch that off so we get this. Now, I don't want this playing over the 8-bar intro. I'm going to have it over the verse section and then later on. And as you can see, there's slight changes to the pattern right here as it develops over time. Now, I want to add one more session keyboard player. So if we come back up here, we go back to keyboard player, we're going to choose simple pad and we hit create. We come over here and I've got classic analog pad just here, and the retro synth is what's selected. However, I don't have to go with the retro synth. I can change the synth to any of Logic's synth plugins. I can go for Alchemy, the ES2, or any of the others. So for this one, in fact, I'm going to go for the ES2 synth. I'm going to come up with a sound that really works for me in terms of the tone, and then I'll let the session player do the rest. Okay, so the synth pad sound that I went for was analog waves, which you can see right here under the main library category, pads, analog waves, and at the heart of it is the ES2 synth. I've made a few minor adjustments to the sound. So let's have a quick listen to the sound itself. Okay, so as far as the session player goes, we're using the preset Simply Said, and nothing else is changed. Voicing on the left hand is root only, voicing on the right hand is full chord, and I haven't done anything else over on this side. Just nice and simple. And this is really going to be coming in at the chorus section over the bridge. We'll have something going on at the outro when we're coming to an end of this song. But let's just have a quick listen how we build from the verse section into the chorus by bringing in these parts right here.